Brandon, you want to give me some background music?
Hey
guys, I'm Max from WatchCrunch. This is Brandon from Hodinky. Welcome back to the Anachronist podcast. In the last year, a lot has happened in your life.
Yeah, quite a bit.
So tell us about the transition to Hodinky, how that's going.
Hodinky offered me a job as an editor for the team. So took me a minute to decide, like, hey, do I want to leave my job of like 15 years to just focus on watches? At first, I never thought I would do that. But then I talked to my wife and a couple other people, and it was obvious that I should give it a shot. So yeah, now I'm at Hodinky making videos, and my full-time watches. It's
living
fun.
The dream.
Yeah, living the dream.
Your video quality has always been super impressive.
Thank you. Nowadays, I just do watches that I personally like. Like, if people want to see certain watches, yeah, I'll consider it. But if I'm going to make a video, it's going to be on something that I kind of enjoy.
I think we all know what watches you like. Great things about Grand Seiko.
Great things would be the level of detail and craftsmanship you're getting for the price is like unmatched. It really is. Good things would be movement technology. Right. You can get quartz, you can get mechanical,
spring drive,
get good high beat spring drive. I think they've kept a lot of their core pieces, but they are trying to move up market with some of their newer models. A lot of folks do say, oh, Grand Seiko's getting more expensive, but they still have all of the pieces sort of that were that lower price point still there. They're just making watches that are now a little bit more expensive.
What is it, the SPGM 221 you got there?
I believe it hasn't changed in price since I got it, which was about like 4 years ago or so. So yeah, there's still a lot of their core models that I think haven't changed in price. So for the more more upmarket models, maybe the white birch, but you can tell that the level of finishing, the new movement technology, is quite a step above the kind of previous Grand Seiko models. So I think that the price is justified. The level of finishing that you get on a Grand Seiko, this $9,000 Grand Seiko, I've seen maybe worse level finishing on watches like 3 times the amount. Really,
and that's something that I sort of had trouble appreciating in the beginning. You know, this is my winter edition, right? Spring drive. And it really was probably almost a year after wearing this watch where I kept looking at it like with the hand on the steering wheel. And then just realizing like, wait, that metal is bouncing light different.
Mm-hmm. That's Soratsu polishing, right? There's all kinds of movements coming from Grand Seiko. You have the regular automatics. They're really known for having good quartz movements.
Well, spring drive, I mean, we haven't had a lot of real movement kind of paradigm shifts since for a couple hundred years, right?
Yeah.
And they kind of just dropped this on the world. And I feel like, you know, when you first get into watches, you don't really know how to think about spring drive. But I think the more I've learned about spring drive, the more I've realized it's everything I want.
Yeah, accuracy, like it is, you know, mechanical-ish. It is mechanical.
Well, it's mechanical in the important way that it derives energy not from a battery.
Yeah, exactly. And there's just something about that smooth sweeping seconds hand.
Oh, yeah.
It's like
so smooth.
That mesmerizes me.
But I am going to knock.
Okay, let's knock.
They're bigger sports watches.
Okay.
Right. So what is this one?
That's I think the SBGE 245. It was like a limited edition.
So my issue is that this dial looks the same as any other Grand Seiko dial. It's a little bit generic, but they put it in a beefy case with a bezel, and now it's a sports watch. And to me, it just doesn't differentiate it enough from other Grand Seikos. So let's take a moment and talk about the sponsor of today's video. IFL Watches is a Swedish company that I've been following for a while, and they take the dial of your watch and use it as a canvas. So they sent me this PRX 35. I know I've had my beef with the 40 on my wrist, but the 35 has really kind of won me over. And what they've done is take a relatively boring watch, kind of turn it into a piece of art. So thank you, IFL, for supporting us, believing in our content, and letting us keep doing what we're doing. Let's talk about Omega for a second.
Let's chat on Omega.
All right, great things about Omega. I think their history.
Hard to beat.
Like most of their watches just have such a lineage and provenance to them. I think they're good at like segmentation of their lines. Speedmaster versus Seamaster, right? Like you're not going to confuse these two watches.
Oh, no,
there are no elements
Yeah.
on these two watches that are the same.
Yeah.
You know, and this is the other kind of forte of Omega. I feel like each model just has such a deep history about it, right? You've got the Moonwatch, obviously, I think best story in the game. The Seamaster, right, with the 300 with the James Bond thing, which is, you know, kind of gimmicky, but I feel like they finally evolved this aesthetic to something that is professional enough for me to want to wear.
Yeah, I mean, take away the James Bond connection with that watch, and it's still a freaking all. I would get that watch because of the watch, not the connection to Bond.
Exactly. And then we have the Globemaster. So I don't own all these watches. This was loaned to me from my local AD, which is Timeworks. You might have seen my video recently where I built a collection there.
You did.
So let's talk about the Globemaster first, because like this is a really, I think, underappreciated watch.
But I don't see a lot of people wearing
think
this.
so.
I like that pie pan dial. I mean, who's doing that nowadays? And I love that on the case back, how you have the observatory there.
Yeah. And you know, the other thing I think Omega does really well is they're like a very technology-based company. You know, the coaxial escapement, right? George Daniels, I think, came up with it in the 70s, and he kind of shopped it around, and nobody really believed him, right? He was kind of this like mad genius that everybody thought was crazy. And then Omega kind of took a chance on it, you know, embracing the Metas certification.
Yeah, that's sort of a big deal, I think, to sort of, I mean, Rolex has their superlative chronometer, right? And Omega has Metas. To compete with them, I think that was something that they needed to do. And now Tudor's kind of getting into the mix with that too.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
The Aquaterra, it's a watch that every time I see, I just want to spend money. Like this 38, look at this thing on my wrist. Like, is that not just classy as hell?
That looks good.
Well, tell us about this. This is your wife's watch.
SBGW 289, I believe. It's a 37 millimeter manual wind, 44 GS case. And then because it's manual wind, it's a little bit thinner than you typically see. I think that with this bracelet, I wish it did taper just a little bit.
Oh, God.
Right?
Yeah, can we talk about Grand Seiko bracelets? Bro.
Some watches, it doesn't bother me, but since I think this one is so small, I think that the non-taper, I don't know, something throws me off. And I want to wear it on a bracelet. I don't want to put on a strap.
I buy Grand Seikos, I immediately swap straps.
Yeah, that's the thing. I like bracelets, so I don't put straps on watches unless it came on a strap, right? So,
and I mean, it's not like Omega is somehow, you know, excels at this point, right? Like the bracelet on the Bond watches, you know, it's either that non-tapering, weird kind of
on this regular
one.
Seamaster.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Or it's the mesh, which is like, it doesn't have fitted in links. It's just kind of like almost an afterthought. They do have a lot of models. I think you were the one that actually tried to count.
Oh, yeah, I did.
You did an Aquaterra video.
Yeah. The Aquaterra video, there were, hundreds or something? Like, pretty wild, right?
Yeah.
But, I mean, more options.
Well,
I mean,
no,
really.
I had a friend, a female friend, who was like, I want a mother of pearl dial with like this kind of bezel, this kind of bracelet, this size. And I was like, you have to look at Omega. I don't think anybody else can satisfy your desires.
Yeah.
But it gets to like the ethos a little bit, right? Like I feel like you look at really successful companies that are a bit effortless, companies like Rolex, but outside of watches, you know, like Apple computers, right? Tesla. One theme is they don't have a lot of options. Right?
That's true.
And they're like, we're going to build a really good product and we don't need to pander to everybody, right? So there's like a confidence to that. And I think Omega can be a little more confident in the way that they kind of produce different models. Okay, so we'll wrap it up there. Cool. You want to give me some outro music? Thanks, guys, for joining us. I'll see you on WatchCrunch. We'll have a deeper conversation about Omega versus Grand Seiko. Until next time, peace out.